Okay, we're finally at some fun areas. So content. Content is king for SEO, and that forever is going to be the case. That could be video content, written content, any type of content. But today, we're talking about written content, contextual content, that beautiful long form 2,000 word plus content that you can fit anywhere if you know what you're doing. And that is what Google wants to see. They want to rank that long form content. Doesn't mean it has to be boring though. It means you can also, of course, distill it at the top of the article or of the blog or wherever you're going to put that content in easy to read and understand ways, which we're gonna need to do, but we'll get into that. The main thing I want to talk about now, right here, is why content is critical for Google to help understand what you should be ranking for, why you should be ranking for it, and ultimately help them quantify how and why you are an expert in the space you are discussing. This pretty much goes hand in hand with topical authority, which is a concept of if you are trying to rank for running shoes, you should be talking about interval training. You should be talking about how to breathe when you're running. You should be talking about the different running techniques to run a 5K, to run a marathon. Talk about different types of running shoes. All these things could easily be blog content. They could be collection page content as well, because you could write running shoes for working people, running shoes for athletes, running shoes for kids. All those could be commercial intent. If you're trying to rank for one keyword, you can basically blow it out like a mind map and figure out all the different pieces of what you can talk about, what you should talk about in order to make it rank. And this is really, really critical because that's how you're going to basically build your content plan, because you want to become topical experts on the highest hierarchy and also the lowest hierarchy of your exact keyword. So why is content so important? Because Google is simple. At the end of the day, they are a massive billion trillion dollar algorithm, whatever. But at the same time, the way that they're approaching it is they're distilling your website. They're digesting it, they're crawling it, they're parsing the HTML to better understand what your pages are about, what type of content you have on them, and how that they can fit your website into their index of over 1 billion pages. And then they're going to determine how often they should crawl your site. So if we provide the right content in the right places for Google, that also fits a very strong user experience, meaning you're giving back to the user. This is critical. Going back to the running shoes example, we want to provide content that is useful, helpful to the user. If our ideal user, our ICP, our ideal customer profile, is a runner, an athlete, or an everyday person that is looking for athletic shoes, again, back to the running shoes example, then we need to be talking about all the different questions they may ask in order. So that would be, how do I know the running shoes fit best for me? Do my feet swell when I run? How do I've got back pain when I run. Are running shoes the example, the solution? So there's so many different angles here you can take with the content that will make it helpful and useful for your user. So whenever you think about content, only think about that. It's not just words on a page. It's not just AI generated garbage. It really has to be structured thoroughly and thoughtfully. Doesn't mean you can't write it with AI though. Really critical, and we're going to get into this in the near future, a future lesson. But I want to make it very clear that it's more about the intent. You want to match the search intent. You want to provide useful, helpful content for the user, whether they are buying or whether they are learning or whether they are trying to figure out if they even need running shoes, because their old Adidas shoes work just fine, even though they have a hole in the bottom. So that's really critical, that basically you are kind of walking them through all the different issues, all the different solutions to all their potential problems, leading up to that buyer's journey to where they actually are going to open up their wallet and give you their cash. Why would they do that? Because you have educated them, because you have helped them make a proper decision. There's a lot of ways to look at this, but content is king. And it's so critical, and it's in the basis of all of our operations here at QuickCo. So really essential. But again, let's continue on. You're going to understand very quickly how to make a proper content plan, how to build this out, and how to do this research. So let's continue.